Hello and welcome to Local Giving's latest webinar. We're going to be looking at an introduction to powerful and effective online fundraising. And we're going to be giving you lots of really practical tips in how to get started with that, in how to grow any work that you're already doing. And there will be lots of time for questions at the end as well. So today, we're going to be covering a number of things. My name is Lauren Swain, and I've been with Local Giving since 2016. I've really been focused on working with organizations to specifically help them get started with the online fundraising. Historically, we ran a Wales program, which I ran and was able to meet with over 500 organizations to give them training and getting started. And so we're very familiar with working with every type of cause and every type of location and really helping them to raise donations online and building it into your main work as well. So we're going to look at what is local giving. We're going to look at what is online fundraising and crowdfunding. What do we mean by that? We're going to talk about communicating about your cause, so letting people know who you are, what you're doing. Running a successful crowdfunding appeal. So if you've got something specific that you want to raise money for, how do you go about that? Engaging individual fundraisers, so people taking on challenges to raise money on your behalf. We're going to look a little bit at monthly direct debit donors as well, how you can have that regular income coming in. And then we're going to look at some more practical actions to start fundraising. And there's examples and case studies all the way through as well. So what is local giving? A number of you will be local giving members. Some of you may have received a grant from us. Some of you, it may be your first time interacting with us. But we are a membership organisation and an online fundraising platform. So we provide the means for an organisation to have an online donation page for people to support you wherever they're based and really easily get money towards your cause. We also distribute a number of grants throughout the year, and I'll be talking a bit more about that later and the live grant that we've got going at the moment. And increasingly, we also have a number of support services that include a lot of AI support, which can help you in sourcing grants to apply for, creating really strong grant applications, and really streamlining that to be really time effective. That the whole of our organization really and what we offer just really helps you with minimal time be able to get as much sustainable income into your organization as possible. And we're going to be talking today really practically about how you can make the most of those things and how you can get started with that as a form of income or build what you've already got. So what is online fundraising? What am I referring to when I'm talking about that? Really, it's anything that's an online donation. So it's someone that's getting you money essentially directly from their bank account to yours via an online donation page. So there's no cash involved. You might call it digital fundraising or digital giving or something like that. A huge amount of donations in the UK are given online, so it is really important for you to have the means for someone to donate to you in that way. And we very much saw in COVID that those organisations that had something like that in place already immediately did really well compared to organisations that were scrabbling to get something sorted for people to support them when they couldn't see them in person. Having an online donation page like the one on the right here that sums up your work as a whole also means that you'll come up in Google searches. So we call that search engine optimized. It means that if a person is looking for a local group or a local cause to support or something like that, your organization is more likely to come up in the search because you've got this information about yourselves online as well. And it's really easy for people to donate to you on a mobile too. So it's all just there to make it as simple as possible for people to get money to you. When we talk about crowdfunding, those terms for us are quite interchangeable, online fundraising and crowdfunding. But essentially, crowdfunding is referring to when lots of people, a crowd of people, are giving a small amount that adds up to make something big happen. So lots of donations from lots of people, quite a small amount that help you hit a particular target. And that's what we mean by crowdfunding. So on local giving, we have a few different donation pages, and I'll show you real examples of those in a second. So you have that main donation page here on the right that sums up your work as a whole. And that's always the first step, that you want a page that talks about everything you do all the time. And then under that, you can then also have fundraiser pages. Those fundraiser pages might be pages that you've made that are talking about something that you're fundraising for at the moment. We are fundraising for our sports team to have to cover the cost of the away games for the season. We are fundraising for a defibrillator. We are fundraising for a summer holiday food hunger program. We are fundraising to cover our costs over winter. It can really be anything that's specific that you can put a particular financial target against. You know roughly how much it costs, and you need to raise that money by a particular time. That is perfect for a fundraiser page. So you've got your work as a whole, and people can give to that, but a lot of your fundraising will be around something really focused like this. And then in addition to that, anyone, any member of the public, any volunteer, any participant can also create a fundraiser page on your behalf, and they can say, look, I'm trying to raise £500 and this is what I'm doing to do that. And then they've got their own donation page with their own link that is again linked to yours, and everything they raise goes directly to your bank account. And I'll be talking a lot about how you can encourage people to do fundraisers like that for you too. So I'm just going to show you now some example donation pages. So a strong donation page will have good images. We sum up, any income that you've had coming in. Any fundraiser pages that you've got sit nicely under it there for people to easily click through different things. And then you can make it as visual, as detailed as you like then. Here's another example. This is one of our biggest members. We've worked with a lot of food banks, and they have given really good examples of tangible things that your money can go towards. So they've really explained what something equates to, £20 for the 3-day emergency food parcel. That makes it really tangible and clear to a donor. And these are things we'd really encourage you to include on a donation page. And then at the other end of things, we work with a lot of groups that are, small, really important community groups, maybe entirely run by volunteers, and they might be looking to raise £500 a year to cover insurance and essentials like that. And, their fundraising needs are at a very different end of the scale as well. So we really do work with a lot of different organisations. When an organisation is a local giving member, you can log into your account, and this is what it looks like. And you are able to create those pages, that main charity page that sums up your work as a whole. Doesn't matter if you're not a registered charity, just that's what it's called. And then your fundraiser page is there. You can see those, you can edit your own. You can really easily see who supported you. You can run off donation reports, or if you've got a treasurer or a finance colleague that needs to do that, they can have their own login to be able to check monthly income against your bank account as well. There's lots of advice in there, and there are these new sections as well around grants. You can see anything you've applied for. You can search for those, but I'll talk about that in a bit. And our AI as well, which can help you in a number of ways, which I'll discuss further. But everything is there in your local giving account for you to be able to find that yourself as well. So obviously the first thing you've got to do is you've got a donation page. How do you best communicate about your work, about your cause, and what you need to fundraise for at this time? So we would encourage you on your main donation page in particular, and any communications, to talk about it in this way. So to really discuss, what are the circumstances that prompted your group to exist, that prompted the particular work you're doing now? How does your work address the challenges that you describe? What is the help that you actually offer? What does the situation look like as a result of your work? What are the outcomes? How have you met those needs? Are there any case studies or quotes or anything like that you can include, or data or statistics that show, or look, this is the result of our hard work and your really valuable support. And then once you've begun to talk about your work in that way, you can then think, okay, or what is the best ask or the best message to attach to that for the particular person that I'm talking to? And we'd encourage you to map out your network. We'd encourage you to look at who are the people that interact with us. They might not know everything you do. They might just be involved in one aspect of your work, but who are they? And the example on the screen there really sums up the most common examples that everyone would have. We have people who've used our services historically. We've had people that have worked with us or volunteered with us, with the family members of those who benefited from what we're doing. All of those different things and those different people need different messages, because some of those people it's absolutely brilliant to ask them to donate, or perhaps they're already supporting you and you can ask them to give monthly. But other people, you might know it's not appropriate to ask them for money, but it's absolutely fine to ask them to do a fundraiser for you. Or would you consider doing a group fundraiser with some of the other beneficiaries? Would you share this crowdfunding page we've created with your friends? There's different messages for each group, and you can describe what it is that you're doing and then attach the right message to that as well. And then once you're starting to communicate those messages, you're going to be able to communicate them in different ways. So the main 3 breakdowns for that I'm going to be talking about is social media. We'll talk about in a second how you can prepare content, how you can make that really visual, which is so important for people to be able to engage with what you're doing and be more likely to share it as well. Traditional media, local press is still really important. Radio stations, having articles drafted that people can share is still really important. And newsletters, we really encourage you to send email newsletters. They don't have to be often. It might be every 3 months. It might be every month. It might be every 2 weeks. Whatever it is that naturally works for you, that's fine. But we'd recommend at least every few months letting people know what it is that you're up to, what it is that their money's achieved. And you may already have a mailing list. That may be something that you need to grow, and we can talk about that. Or as you do the fundraising itself, you're going to be gathering people's email addresses. It's all GDPR compliant, but people can choose to share their contact information with you. And so as you go, you are going to be building this mailing list and have those donors and fundraisers that you're going to be wanting to communicate with there as well. And 1/3 of online donations are still because of an email. So it is really important for you to be able to communicate with people in that way. So on social media, the easiest thing to do is to draft and schedule posts. So to have your message summed up in a few sentences, your elevator pitch, as it were. If you were stuck with someone for 30 seconds in an elevator, what would you say? Or lift. And those posts then do really need to be as visual as possible. But on X, you can schedule a post. So you write it, and then there's this calendar option down here to schedule it. Almost every other social media platform has similar. Facebook, there's a schedule post option there. So you can sit down once a week, once a month, schedule posts to be going out as often as you feel appropriate, and know that your message is getting out there on a regular basis then. If you have strong images, great. Lots of organizations do. Lots of organizations also don't, and that might be because the nature of your work isn't appropriate to photograph. For example, a domestic abuse organization or something like that. Obviously, you're not going to have photos of your work necessarily, but you can still make your post visual. And you can either do that by finding stock images, so images, that are related, such as an image of a support group or something like that. Something like Pexels allows you to find photos for free. I know we love Canva, that's free as well. And that allows you to make any images you like. So they could involve photos, but you can see here, there are some examples that I've made for social media where the text is the image itself. And so what you're saying can be the visual element. You can use it to make flyers, posters, social media images, absolutely anything is absolutely brilliant. And it has a resize option as well. So say you've made an A4 poster and you want to turn it into a social media post, you can do that at a click of a button as well. It's a really good website to have a look at. So you've got your organization summed up, you've thought about how you want to communicate about it and let people know, look, we've got this new donation page. You then need to think about what you need to fundraise for in the near future, and then doing a crowdfund appeal for that. So campaigns really fall into 2 categories. They're either reactive, where you're responding to something usually quite last minute that's happened and you need to very quickly raise money. So that might be like a local crisis. For example, we had a community that had a local gas explosion and had to quickly fundraise to support the individuals affected. Obviously, that's maybe, a more dramatic crisis than most of us find ourselves in, but it might be something like a roof collapse. It might be something like a particular piece of funding has fallen through, or something has happened locally that mean more people need to come and receive food parcels, or a particular community centre is closed, you know, whatever it is, there's something that's happened that means there's an amount that you need to raise urgently, and you need to promptly make a page, and you need to promptly get the message out. But most campaigns will fall into proactive campaigns. And they will be because you know what you need to raise money for, you know when you need to do it, and you've got time to think ahead and think through the steps of how to best do that. One example there then would be an organisation who essentially maintain a public park. They wanted to build a new wildflower garden as part of it. And so we were able to speak to them then. They were volunteers, almost all over the age of 70, quite uncomfortable with online promotional methods. They made a really good video for their campaign page that summed up what they wanted to do and showed the space. And they then used traditional communication methods to communicate that, because they weren't comfortable with online communication. So they put posters up around the park. They put flyers through houses that were nearby. They went and spoke to local businesses who may want to come and enjoy the park on the lunch break. They spoke to the local councillor who covered the cost of printing. They put flyers in the bags in their plant shop. They put banners up. They did community radio as well. They did lots of traditional methods like that, because that's what worked for them. And then it brought people back to that online donation page. So you can really reach people in whatever way works best for you and your audience, to get them to the point where they can do this online donation as well. So when you're doing a campaign, there are a few things that you need to think about. Obviously, initially set a target. We'd encourage you to set that target for your first campaign somewhere between £500 and £5,000. That's because we don't want you to set it so low that it's not worth your time. And honestly, when you ask, you do get, you will reach that £500 mark. We offer gift aid to all of our members. So whether you're a registered charity or not, you can get gift aid through local giving, which is obviously huge for organisations that have never had that before, because that instantly means you're going to get that 20% boost on anything you raise. So if you're raising, if you're raising £5,000, £1,000 of that can be gift aid. Amazing, free money. And that's something that's offered to all of our members. £5,000, we really encourage you to not go higher than that for your first campaign, because you are going to learn a lot. And we don't want you setting, say, £20,000 for your first campaign, because then it's, for example, if you learn that, well, okay, the average donation people seem to be giving us is £7. Okay, so we've set a £20,000 target. How many people does that actually mean when having to reach? Or it's a huge amount. You can really see what the facts are for your audience and their giving patterns. And £5,000, if I'm going to support you and I can only give you £10, my £10 is going to help you more towards a lower target, and I'm going to feel more validated in giving that. Then if it's a ginormous target and I feel like my donation is the tiniest drop in the water, it can just feel more accessible for people supporting you as well. And as I mentioned before, if you can give example donations, that again makes it really accessible and tangible. Average donations are high, like UK-wide it's £20, on local giving it's actually £50. And so with those donation examples, we do really encourage you to give higher end examples as well. So not just be like, well, £2 is this, £5 is this, £10 is this, but actually give an example for each donation range. So £5 is this, £20 is this, £50 is this. That will really help you to cover a spectrum of donors then, and give them a clear idea of what their money goes towards. If it doesn't if it doesn't equate anything, if £20 actually covers nothing specific for your organisation because the cost is high, then you can really talk about how to manage that, and how to manage that, and how to maybe give them an idea of something that goes towards instead. This goes towards us being able to offer free places for those in care to access free boxing classes, whatever it is. You can give people an idea and a reason to donate as well. You can look at how much you raised in the past. A lot of us have experience of having asked for something, whether it's worked or not before, and we can learn from that. And the more we fundraise, the more we do learn. There is something really interesting called the 70-30 rule, or might call it the 30% rule or something like that. where if you pretty much raise the first third of your target, you're likely to get the whole way. And so part of the reason for that is if you've done the hard work to get me to your donation page, and I can see that you've raised 300 quid towards your £1,000 target, there's nothing there to put me off actually giving my donation. Whereas if I go on there and against your grand target you've raised £30, I might not actually donate when you've got me there, because I'm not convinced that you're going to get the whole way. And so it's really, really important to start strong and get to that point where you've raised your first few hundred quid. And there are a couple of ways that you can do that. The main two ways are that you can either include donations that you've already received or grants that you've already received. So maybe you've done an in-person event, maybe you've had a grant towards the same amount. And so you can list that as an offline donation on your crowdfund page, your fundraiser page on Local Giving. And so it will immediately show on your target bar that actually we've already had a £2,000 grant towards this £5,000 project that we're doing. The other thing that you can do is something called a soft launch. So you can make your fundraiser page, you can have it live, you can share the link with the nearest and dearest of the organization, essentially, those that work there, volunteer, have supported before, and say, no pressure at all. You're really involved in an organization. If you had in mind that you were going to donate to this anyway, if you could do it in the next week, that'd be so helpful for us, because next week I'm actually going to start to share it more publicly. I'm going to do some social media. And if between us, we have got the first few £100 against the target bar, that is going to be so encouraging for anyone who is coming to the donation page and donating for the first time. And so you can really help people kind of be in the know, and helping you to get that page started and to be in a really strong position before you're sharing it more widely as well. You can align other forms of fundraising. So I've already mentioned grants, that grants could be listed as offline donations towards the same thing. They could also match fund your online fundraising. It's really strong in a grant application to say, well, look, we've raised £5,000 in a recent crowdfund campaign. We've done this fundraiser that people in the community have given to. It really shows that the community really care about this project happening. They really value the need of it. And now we're looking for a grant to provide another £5,000 so that we're able to get this project underway or continue it longer or anything like that. And you've really evidenced that, the community is behind that project. And so those different forms of fundraising can benefit each other as well. Corporate fundraising as well, I'll talk about that a little bit later, but businesses obviously, can be doing fundraisers for you. You can be charity of the year for them. There are lots of things that you can do to engage in businesses getting donations to you as well. And I'll talk about that a bit further. It's really good to think about what you would view as a successful year. So the different ways that you can get money coming in, donations, fundraisers, monthly giving, and think about, well, look, this is what we would really like to see by the end of the year, or the next financial year, or the next calendar year, whatever it is, the next 12 months. We would like to see this amount of money coming in. They are our targets, they're our goals. This is who we're going to target for that sort of donation out of our network. These are the sorts of gifts that we're looking for. We're going to make those asks at this time of year. This is the person leading on it. And there may be some costs attached as well. Okay, we're going to have to print flyers for that AGM, or we're going to have to print some materials, or actually it's completely free, whatever it is. You just need to think through what it means for you time-wise, and if there's any costs attached as well. And then you can really start to plan that out over a calendar. So here you're planning out the tasks themselves, the focuses, and then you're planning that out across a calendar. Right, okay, spring is a great time to do fundraisers. The weather's getting nicer, people are signing up to things. Actually, the autumn and the lead up to Christmas is the best time to do a crowdfund campaign. People are most generous there. And so this time of year is perfect to start thinking about things, discuss yourselves, maybe get them signed off in the team in September, and then getting that page made to be fundraising October, November, December. It's a great time to be doing a crowdfund campaign. One example, hopefully boost your confidence. ACE, so they've been a local giving member for a number of years now. They are essentially a community centre, but in a very deprived area. They knew that, there's not local wealth. They were uncomfortable but asking that community for donations. They didn't know what was the best way to do it. And so the approach they took after we discussed it with them was, okay, we're going to come up with really tangible, really realistic crowdfund campaigns that are going to fundraise for things that the community is going to entirely benefit from and that they can completely see the value of, so they understand why we're asking for money for them. So they started off by funding a defibrillator. They'd raised that money within a week because, people want that in their community. They've done other fundraisers around helping young people afford to go to prom, around fuel poverty support in winter, around in COVID-19, they did things such as food parcel support, a financial crisis support program, a mental health support helpline, all these different things that are really immediate benefits to the community. And the income they've got from all those things also enabled them to invest for the first time in a part-time paid role for someone to manage their fundraising. And so that then in turn brings in even more income because they can put more time into it. They can also be applying for grants. And it just continues to help their fundraising grow and grow. And they've had some great videos on those fundraiser pages as well. It is really important to be resilient. Each donation is a win to be celebrated, and you will learn a lot. So it is an experiment. You may have one crowdfund campaign that just doesn't work because of how you communicated it or what you focused on. You will learn a lot from it every time you try, and you will get better, and you will have more data every time to analyze. Oh, okay, the people that are actually donating are from this group in our network. You're going to learn a lot about how they give and who they are. It's very much like fundraising should not just be done by one person, one volunteer, one member of staff. It's the whole organization's responsibility to be fundraising. They're going to benefit if their organization has more money, their job is more secure, their projects are more likely to happen. Everyone should at least be sharing promotion of any campaigns you're doing. They should be having links to the donation page on their email signature. They should be having it on the tip of their tongue in any conversations they're having. They should be supporting you in that as well. And obviously with crowdfunding, the bigger the crowd, the better. The more you let people know these pages are there, the more they're going to be seen. And the more you encourage people to spread the word for you as well, the more people are going to get to the point of donating. So you've got crowdfunding through fundraisers, which we talked about. And now there's what you might call individuals doing fundraisers and taking on challenges for you, and those sorts of fundraiser pages as well. So fundraisers are so important, and they're just so good for your organization because, for starters, they don't take you any time. And those individuals are going to be asking their own network to support them. And, they're going to have friends and family, colleagues, etc., donating to them who would never have heard of you as an organization or might not have given directly to you, but because it's their loved one doing it, absolutely, they're going to give them 5, 10 quid or whatever. And it allows you to reach donors you would never have reached before. So it's just so useful. And in general, it will bring 60 new donors to your organization per fundraiser. Great. If each of them is giving 20 quid to a loved one, that's instantly a few hundred quid. And group fundraisers as well. If there's a group of 5 young people who come to one of our services, if there's, your volunteers are doing a group fundraiser, whatever it is, if people are coming together to do a challenge together, have one page jointly, and they're reaching their target together, obviously they're going to be bringing even more people as well. It can take the pressure off individuals. For example, we've had groups where a young carers group has done a fundraiser together. Some of those people, because of the nature of their life and sadly how isolated they are, they might only have 1 or 2 people that can donate, and someone else might have 20 people that donate. But it just takes the pressure off with a group fundraiser, and collectively you're reaching that target. And it's something that can be part of a team building event, within a core group of people you support like that as well. Obviously things like businesses as well can also do group fundraisers, and I'll talk about that a bit more. There are kind of 3 different ways that you can go if you need to encourage people to come up with a fundraising idea. One of those ways is you can encourage them to sign up to an event that already exists. So there are lots of challenge events out there. This is a website called Let's Do This. You can put in your postcode. It tells you different events happening, what date they are. You can encourage people to take part. You can see if people are taking part, want to do a fundraiser for you at the same time. So you can encourage them just to sign up themselves, get their own ticket, be fundraising alongside something like that they don't have to prepare for. Obviously, they might need to train or something, but they don't have to set up or anything like that. Another option is that they can do what we call a supporter-led fundraiser, and that is coming up with their own idea. And that is, if something needed setting up, it'd be setting up. But the best supporter-led fundraisers are those that, again, really link back to the work you do, or are a natural fit with something you're already putting time into, or volunteers already putting time into, and it's really focused on your work. So 3 examples of fundraisers who've done that. We have a group that keeps Snowdonia, and Snowdon in particular, clean, picking up the litter that all the tourists leave. And so one of their volunteers thought, great, I'm going to do a fundraising challenge. I'm going to walk up and down a few peaks in Snowdonia, and I'm going to do a litter pick along the way. So I'm actually doing the work of the group, but I've attached the challenge to it. Different people will join me along the way. It can be a social part of being part of the group as well. And I'm going to raise money alongside doing that. And as you can see, he's, exceeded his target. There's a, smaller end fundraiser there. A larger fundraiser, we had one organisation, a disabled theatre company, and someone said they were going to do a cycle ride around all of the venues across the UK that the theatre company had performed in that year. And so they've got a challenge. They've designed it around the organisation, something that's linked to the organisation, and everyone then has really got behind them to support them in that challenge as well. And they raised a lot of money through that. One of my favourites, though, is for you to give supporters an idea of what a certain target would equate to for you. So we had an addiction recovery organisation say to people who've been through their services, did you know that to give you that help at crisis point cost us £300? Would you like to fundraise for someone else to have that same help when they are at crisis point? And then they had all of these different fundraisers that were £300. It was really easy for the individuals to be able to say, look, this is what I'm fundraising for. This is why. Look, the £300 equates to this, and it really empowers their fundraiser then, because they can totally justify why they're raising every pound of that. And, it could be whatever your work is, you can give them a suggested amount. If someone's already made a fundraiser page, you can message them through your local giving account and say, oh, I can see you set this target. Did you know that actually equates to this for us? Why, here's a couple of sentences you could add to your page about that, just to really justify that amount that you're raising. They actually encourage people to swim a certain amount in their local pool. So people could do it in their own time. They could do it quite cheaply. And that was the challenge they encouraged people to do alongside raising their £300. So you've got people sign up to existing events. You've got people coming up with their own ideas. The third option is that you yourself could arrange your own fundraising event. Now, you've got to be really careful here, obviously, to not come up with something that's going to take time or money when you're already stretched to capacity. And I would just want to give you some really great examples of fundraisers that you can do that already fit in with things that you're putting time into. So when planning that, you want to look at, right, what are the basic facts and behaviours? I'm going to use a community dance group as an example. Right, okay, so we know the people involved in an organisation, the attendees are mainly under the age of 21. We know that a lot of them are brought to the premises by parents. We know that the relationship with us is that they don't really realise that we're a charity, and they just come along each week. We know their motivations and goals for being part of the work is that they love dancing, they love spending time together, and we need to fit all of those things into your fundraising idea then, so that you know that it's relevant and interesting to the people that you're going to ask to be involved. And using that same example then, so they might do a 12-hour dance-a-thon where collectively each young person is taking a 20-minute slot or an hour, half hour out, whatever it works out as slot. You're doing solid 12 hours of dancing. It's a challenge. Family can come along. It's a social. It's using the premises you've already got. It's using the insurance that you've already got. People are already going to be interested in that, and you're raising money alongside it as well. Each young person is aiming to raise some money towards that joint target then. Other examples include one organisation I worked with where they were encouraging students to volunteer whilst they're studying at university. They then came up with a fundraiser along the lines of, right, we're going to challenge ourselves to give 1,000 volunteering hours this October. And it's something they're doing already. It's something that's literally no more work for them as an organisation apart from creating a fundraising page. It would lead to their student volunteers potentially giving more hours. And they've made then a lot of noise about how much they're actually achieving in the space of a month. And so something like that, it's a really healthy fundraiser in terms of sharing awareness and time-wise as well. Equally, if there are physical jobs that you need to do, you need to clear a certain area in a park, you need to redecorate a building, anything physical like that could be a fundraising challenge. Right, we're going to challenge ourselves to do this in a weekend. Come along and help, or give us some money to really help us get this space looking great. It's something you're doing already. That is the best fundraising idea that you can pursue then. Other inspiration for fundraising events, you can have a look at similar organizations to yourselves, see what they're fundraising for. There are lots of non-profit awareness raising days. Okay, this is when Mental Health Awareness Week is, we could fit in with that. We have an anniversary here, we could fit in with that. You can really do extra things as well throughout the calendar that kind of justify why you're asking for donations at that time. Corporate fundraisers, so there's a few different ways that businesses can really support you. You can be their charity of the year. A lot of businesses have a charity of the year, even small businesses. And that might mean that they have an online donation page, a fundraiser page that they've made, where they are doing lots of small fundraisers throughout the year. They're doing cake sales, they're doing team challenges, they're doing jumper days, Christmas jumper days, whatever it is. And they're the organization, their business themselves and the employees are just donating the small amounts they would in cake sales or anything else through the donation page, and it's adding up throughout the year. Or they might do larger team building fundraisers, again throughout the year, or as a one-off, and create a fundraiser page as a group. It could be the basis of a team away day that they're doing a particular exciting challenge. It might be a challenge that links to your work, or would your whole team actually like to come in and work with us for the day? You're fundraising this challenge, let's try and achieve this much in a day. We can put a target on it for fundraising, and we can use your extra pairs of hands, and it's team building for you as well. It does help to have some things to hand to give fundraisers. So if you have a little paragraph, a few sentences that really clearly sums up your work, then you can give that to a fundraiser to add to their fundraiser page. You want them to be talking about your work and who you are accurately. You can give them your logo. If they don't have any images or they don't want to use a photo themselves, you can maybe give them some photos. You can even go to make them, here's a suggested social media post. Here's a suggested email you could send to your network that talks about our work and encourages people to get to your donation page. Or here's a poster that we made, and I've just added the link to it, to your donation page. And you can make sure they also have the link to your main donation page after their fundraiser, so that they can continue to point people to your organization afterwards as well, or sign up to a newsletter. So there's things you can do there just to help the fundraiser out. Obviously, it's not going to work all the time. You might be stretched for time. They might not reply, but most of the time, they're people that are going to be engaged with the organization, and we'll go from there as well. Monthly direct debits. It is really important to encourage people to give to you on a regular basis. That might look like encouraging someone to increase from giving a one-off donation to a regular monthly gift. It might look like giving people who are giving monthly already to increase the amount that they're giving. It might look like someone is giving a friend's membership on an annual basis to start giving it to you on a monthly broken down smaller amount instead as a donation. That way you haven't got to chase them every year. You save time. Maybe you're getting more The smallest amount we can facilitate is a £2 direct debit donation. So someone will be paying at least £24 a year. I'm aware some Friends memberships might just be £20 or something a year, so it would have to be at least 24. You do have to be careful on the gift aid front with things like memberships, because they need to not be getting anything of financial value that is higher than the amount of gift aid they're getting. So if you're unsure about that, let us know. But if they're just paying a membership and they're just getting a newsletter and an AGM every year, that is eligible for gift aid. Regular donors are more engaged, they're easier to retain, people will stick around with you for years, it's less effort than you find in new donors continually, and it really does bring in a lot of money. If you have 20 people giving you £10 a month, that very quickly adds up across the year as well, especially when there's gift aid on top of that. You can give them example amounts for what a donation equates to on a monthly basis. Actually, this is just £2.50 a week, or this is the price of a coffee, and just kind of justify it a little bit more for them as well. Sports subs as well, they can be done as a monthly direct debit if it helps you collect your money in one place. Obviously, that isn't gift aidable. If someone ever does accidentally give gift aid, that's something we can easily remove, so don't worry about that. And you can be doing a tailored thank you to those monthly donors as well. Every donor does receive an automatic thank you from us, but you can tailor a thank you or a newsletter, to monthly donors as well, to really show the long-term impact. This is what your money's achieved. This is what we're doing next. Because if they're giving that monthly donation, they're committed to you. They're interested in your long-term goals. They are really keen to hear the outcomes. And so you want to be having that sort of relationship with them. Cardiff Food Bank, which is one of the examples I've shown you, they've really, really focused on the direct debits. They've started to really focus on fundraisers now, and they've raised a huge amount through that. But they've really encouraged people to give an amount that equates to feeding a family of 4 for a month, things like that. And it's just a huge amount of money they've got coming in, and that's income you can rely on then. You can put it towards the regular services that you need to run, the real core costs, the boring costs that you have to fund every month. And it can really be the lifeblood of your organization then that you can really lean on. So main actions to start. If these things are of interest to you, if you're not a local giving member, please do sign up. Join.localgiving.org. If you're a registered charity, it's really quick to sign up because we pull the information we need from the Charity Commission website. If you're not a registered charity, that is absolutely fine. As long as you're a not-for-profit, we just need a little bit more information from you, and we have a couple more things such as governance documents and things like that that we request, and bank signatories. But we can take you through that process. You can start signing up and then come back to it. Anything like that is fine to do. Once you are signed up, or if you're already signed up, the first few actions I'd really encourage, add donate buttons. So you can add donate buttons to a website if you've got it, that directly take you to your donation page. So it's almost like you've got a donate process built into a website, if you're just making a really simple free one even. Have the link to your donation page on email signatures, like I've said, people showing it on their social media. Prepare that message to communicate what you're fundraising for. Prepare a thank you message. If you can, thank donors within 48 hours to really encourage them to continue engaging with you. You can schedule automatic thank yous to come out on our system from you. So you could have a thank you message that's perfect for donors, a thank you message that's perfect for monthly donors, and then they're going to the donor on your behalf, as well as the automatic, your donation successfully gone through that we send them. Ask those closest to you to help you get started. And then your communication can really wave out from that. So you're asking your nearest and dearest to help you get started, and then they're asking, you're starting to aim high and spread the message wider and wider until hopefully then it's reaching people you've never even met before. Do share it. Don't be shy. If you ask, you really do get. That's what we hear continually from our members. If you ask, you do get. And tag us on social media as well. We'll share it too. Or get in touch with us. We regularly do stories and updates about what our members are up to too. We've got a number of webinars that are on our YouTube channel, which is there. You can just search for local giving, but it's at Local Giving Guide. In particular, there is a webinar on creating a fundraising strategy. And I'd encourage you to watch that if you're really starting to plan out what you're doing. This isn't something that should wait until you're a couple of years down the line. It might be that you create your donation page, get going, and then you want to think about some simple steps to plan out your work in more detail. Or it might be something like you'll have to do some grant applications that require you to include a fundraising strategy. And so that webinar can help you get started with a simple strategy then, and it takes you through every step that you need to do. We do have a new AI grant assistant. So we have increasingly been sharing about this. In the autumn, there are going to be a number of webinars specifically dedicated to this. But the AI really covers a couple of different areas. It allows, it can automatically generate, it can sum up your work. So you've got a website, it can sum up your work as a whole for your donation page. It can help you come up with text like that. It can help you come up with social media posts, and it can help you with our grants as well. So if you're looking at the grant section of your local giving login, then in that you can, again, we can pull information from your website, Facebook pages, anything that's online, and we can help you find grants that are really relevant to you. You can then answer some basic questions talking to an AI tool that really clarifies what a project is, helps you plan a project properly, helps you write about that project, helps you find grants that are relevant to that project, puts them in an order to be able to apply to those in date order as the deadlines go. And it can help you create that first draft then for those grant applications so that you've got that first written out those answers for that grant. And then that is something then you've got your first draft you can look through manually yourselves or with colleagues to then perfect. So it's really there to make it as quick and as easy and as simple as possible, and to use as little as your time as possible whilst creating a really high quality application. It's really personalized to you as an organization. We ask the IA asks questions to make sure that it's not just a really generic application or anything like that. I've played around with it myself and it does work really well. So have a go at that, but there will be webinars in the autumn that will fully explain that to you, because we are adding to it all the time. And then we have a grant that's open at the moment. That's one that we're distributing. So we should, when you're looking for grants in our system, they're grants from everyone across the UK, but there are also our own grants that we're distributing. This grant is in partnership with National Grid, and it's through our Community Matters Fund. And the focus of this grant, the theme changes every few months, but the focus of this grant is low carbon communities. Now, the full information is on our website. It's open now. Applications close by the 1st of August, and it takes about 15 minutes to apply. Like, it's such a quick one. All of our grants are, you hear back within a month, you have the money in September. All of our grants are meant to be really quick, really swift. You just need to be able to sum up what you want to do. And if this theme's not applicable to you, that's fine. There'll be different funding themes in the future which are. But with this one, to give you some examples, it's really about making what you do more energy efficient and leaving a lower carbon footprint and saving energy costs and energy efficiency. Now, that is really applicable then if you have a building in particular, and it can be anything. It might be that we want to have more, we've got windows and heaters that are going to make our building more warm in winter. It might be that we want some green energy, whatever it is to go towards what we're doing. We want some bike racks to encourage cycling, absolutely anything that is going to make people who are using your building and make the building itself more energy efficient, more low carbon, great. Or something that you're doing in the community that again can make it, the community have a lower carbon footprint. It might be that you're giving advice on energy saving, or switching energy providers. It could be a few different things like that, but have a look at the criteria on our website, and it's open to the 1st of August. You can, if you're a member, you can just log into your local giving account and apply. If you're not a member, you can apply anyway. You do not have to be a member to apply to our grants. Please do. Yeah, we'd love to have an application from you. The success rate of these grants is higher than most grants UK-wide. And it does have a geographic region that it's relevant to, because it is only in areas where National Grid operates, because it's a National Grid fund. So there is a postcode checker there too, but it is largely in the southwest, the bottom half of Wales, things like that for this grant, and other grants are in other areas, but we always attach a postcode checker for that as well. If you have any questions after this, then we have our local giving help desk, so help@localgiving.org, particularly if any questions about signing up to become a member, or any practicalities that you need help with. Or my colleague luke.upton@localgiving.org can share any support around the grant that's live at the moment, or the AI, or anything like that as well. So thank you very much for tuning in today, and good luck with your fundraising.